The U.S. government is recommending that Americans leave the Middle East, and that means Disney might have to abandon its plans for Abu Dhabi Disneyland real soon. Are there Imagineers there? Will it affect the timeline, deadlines, and is there a delay? Info coming your way right now. Hello folks, hello friends, welcome back yet again. Another adventure into excellence right here on YouTube, where you get a PhD level of understanding into what's really going on in entertainment and all the news that should be fun. As we dive in, click the like button. If you're not yet subscribed, folks, the majority out there not who watch these videos, it's time. Join the movement that is moving entertainment corporations back to the sensible center, the mainstream middle, where money can be made. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get underway with today's news on Abu Dhabi Disneyland. Abandoned for the moment, but not forgotten. Don't look now, but Bob Iger's next Disneyland could be left in the sands of time. Marvin Montenaro writing this one from thatparkplace.com. Disney Abu Dhabi theme park faces new uncertainty as U.S. emerges Americans to leave the Middle East region. Let's take a look at what it says. The U.S. State Department has issued a sweeping advisory urging Americans to immediately depart more than a dozen Middle Eastern countries, a move that could raise serious questions for major U.S. corporations and their projects in the region, including the upcoming Disney Abu Dhabi theme park resort. According to Reuters, the State Department on Monday called on Americans to immediately leave multiple countries in the Middle East, including Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, amid escalating regional tensions tied to U.S.-Israeli strikes. You know where they are. State Department Assistant Secretary for Consular Affairs, Maura Namdar, said U.S. citizens should depart using available commercial transportation, quote, due to safety risks. While the guidance is primarily aimed at private citizens and government personnel, the warning inevitably casts a shadow over American business operations across the region, including Disney's high-profile expansion into Abu Dhabi. In May of 2025, the Walt Disney Company announced plans to build its 7th global theme park resort on Yas Island, Yas, in Abu Dhabi, through a partnership with regional developer Miral. Now, Marvin, there's an interesting thing about this story, and that is this may actually uncover that Disney has nothing to do with the thing in the first place.
Yep.
So there's only one of two ways it goes. Either this thing gets delayed because Disney can't be there right now, or two, there's no delay because Disney had nothing to do with it in the first place, and it's all just a cheap licensing effort to make a lot of money and give the Middle East their Mickey Mouse. Which way is this going to go down, Marv?
Well, I mean, we know for a fact that Disney is not sinking a single red cent into this. That has been confirmed. Disney has no financial input on this whatsoever. This is being backed 100% by Miral. But yeah, it is. But they are consulting on the construction, on the design, things like that. So on that, you'd have to assume that there are some Imagineers stationed over there who are going to be helping with the construction, as the Imagineers always oversee construction. But they're going to have to be pulled back. I mean, now this is not a strict order to withdraw from the Middle East to all American citizens. It is a recommendation. So it is altogether possible that Disney openly ignores this recommendation, which I would not recommend that they ignore the recommendation, but they could. So we don't know for sure exactly how many people Disney has over there right now working on this thing, but you'd have to think there's got to be at least a few. And if they are pulling them back, it's going to have to switch to, remote consultation. And that's not going to be as good as boots on the ground, being able to walk the site, being able to see, any issues that arise. We know for a fact, like Joe Rohde, for example, when they were building Pandora, was on site in Orlando pretty much every single day, eating over at Tiffin's and whatnot. So yeah, this could actually throw a monkey wrench into their plans over there in the Middle East to build this theme park. And honestly, I mean, they're not going to question whether or not they want to build it, because it's definitely happening, because it's not their money. So it's just their license. It's just their IP, but they are consulting on the construction. So
it's an interesting region to build in. I know that other companies have other parks over there. Disney, though, usually builds their own parks, or at least they are a major partner in it. Yeah, mostly. You've got the Oriental Land Company, and I know that they've got a partnership with the Chinese government over in China. They call it a company. It's really the government. But, in this case, this is the first time that I can think of that Disney is basically handing it over. There are people right now who are speculating on it, who say, Universal Apex says it's pretty clear that if Disneyland Abu Dhabi was open, they would have been a target, talking about what Iran is doing. Expect Josh tomorrow to cancel it. And there's the video down here, and you have to be really careful because of the fog of war of believing anything right now online. But you can see what it says, and you can see that there's a hotel. And we've seen reports that there are airports in this area also that are taking, kinetic damage, we'll say. That's the best way I know to put it. We can't confirm that. But there are a lot of people out there who are now questioning whether or not this was wise for Disney to, invest in this way. And I don't know that this is the best place for them to be. What do you all think? Andrew, what would you say?
The Middle East is not a stable region of the world in terms of safety? I don't know what you're talking about.
Who'd have thunk it? Tabitha, Andrew, what are your thoughts on this idea that if Disney did have a property there, that it would have been a target? As an American, facing corporation, it might have been the target of one of these attacks. What do you think about that?
I mean, gee whiz, being in a country surrounded by other countries that have people that avidly chant death to America, what were the chances that they would be on board with
almost zero odds,
millions Americans flooding this place? I mean, I don't know. I just felt like that would just be common sense.
It kind of feels like it's asking for trouble, right? Like it's asking for problems. This feels like it's, the risk of sounding bad here, it's basically just Disney World for the Saudis, right? Or Disney World for that area, because nobody in the right mind that's an American, when we have Orlando and we have Anaheim already, right, says, oh, you know what? I'm going to go to Disneyland in the Middle East, right? Where, just as you said, Tabitha, a significant portion of the population adheres to an ideology that chants things like death to Americans. And that makes you a big target. And it's one thing to say, okay, you don't want to live in fear. It's also another thing to step in front of the gun.
I mean, I do know some theme park people that said that if they were successful in building this theme park in this area, that they would absolutely go. And of course, if you're a diehard fan, of course, you're going to do it. From what I understand, Abu Dhabi doesn't have necessarily a lot of activity that is life-threatening in that capacity. But the problem is that the surrounding countries, if you're putting a target on an otherwise safe country, if you're allowing the enemy to then navigate there, you're opening up the possibilities for more and more danger, as a lot of these unstable countries who are warmongering decide to do something. It's an opportunity that is not, I don't think, was carefully considered. Or if it was carefully considered, it was diabolically executed as far as going forward with something like this. Really, it's about cheap labor and cheap land. They could have made another theme park somewhere else that would be potentially less problematic. But it's cheap labor over there. And
free is cheap.
So it was just an opportunity to expand the empire, but it's just following unfortunately in this era, typical Disney mindset of let's expand without being concerned for the fans.
To put it in Disney, modern Disney speak, the theme park is going to be built by Boba Fett starships.
We've got some more stuff on this. And by the way, talking about where would you like to go to experience a Disney park? Disney could have built a new theme park in Florida. They got all the land they need. They can spend the money. They chose not to. They want it free in the Middle East, right? They wanted it free in the Middle East because they wanted to hit on the a bump up on their stock, because it's just all positive. Well, until you find out, wait a minute, it turns out that the Middle East is not as safe necessarily as Florida. Who would have thought it? I know they think a red state is just a horrible place. But if I'm going to go somewhere internationally, I'm not going to Abu Dhabi, where the theme park's largely going to have to be inside like it would be in Vegas because of the heat there. I'm going to go to Tokyo. Tokyo's crazy safe. Tokyo is beautiful. And the
Disney park.
Best Disney parks, not run by Disney. How about that? Here's the next part of this that's so interesting out of that park place. It says another factor worth bearing in mind is that the first ever Middle East edition of the Theme Park Trade Association, IAAPA Expo, is scheduled to take place in Abu Dhabi in 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. Now, why did they put it there, folks? Now, come on, do the math with us, everybody. Why would they put a theme park expo in Abu Dhabi for the first time? Oh, to show off what's coming to Abu Dhabi. Oh, and now that might have to go away. Marv, this might be
IAPA is still going to go on as planned.
Because they got to make a decision soon.
It's typically held here in Orlando, IAPA. So the fact they were holding in the Middle East was out of the ordinary to begin with. So I can't imagine that all of these American theme park professionals who are going there to show off their technological advances are going to make the trip over to the Middle East, especially right now.
I agree. And all of this, it's funny that it's happening just before Bob Iger leaves, because this was supposed to be the Bob Iger moment. This was supposed to be his Disneyland. There's pictures of him out there on the sand, walking around like Walt did in the orange groves. It's funny to see, everything seems to be going badly for Bob Iger these days in terms of cementing that legacy. He just can't get a win to walk out on. He just can't get a win. And so, I don't know. Maybe Abu Dhabi Disneyland one day is the premier place to be. But for me, I'm looking at this and saying, boy, what an interesting series of events that they announce it, they get a teeny weeny bump, and then even before Bob Iger can get out of the company, the whole place is on fire. We wish everybody well in the Middle East, folks. We want nobody to suffer, nobody to be in pain. And we hope for peace and democracy and free peoples as far as the eye can see. But for Disneyland, boy, this is not going well for them. And we'll see. We'll see what happens over there in Abu Dhabi. It is such fun getting to spend time together, folks, but we have come to the end of yet another video, well, that makes the mainstream scratch their heads, pull their hair out, and wonder, how is it we continue to do what we do? But you know what we do this for? It's for you. To keep bringing all the knowledge of entertainment, explaining what's going on in Hollyweird each and every day. And you can help us continue on that way by clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those algorithms. It's the notification bell. Share this out on your favorite social media platforms, and we would love to have you drop a comment right on down below. Share your thoughts because, well, your thoughts truly do matter, and we mean it. As we get ready to say goodbye, we end with the common refrain. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.